Hello and welcome to my latest weekly property news from Madison's. Well, normally when I try to find some content that I think will interest you for these weekly vlogs, there's quite a lot of different sort of stories coming along. But at the moment, every single property update is around what the market is doing at the moment. And I think that's obviously because of the geopolitical tensions that we have in the world, and many people feeling understandably nervous about that and what that could be doing to the market, and equally, therefore, assuming it's all a bit doom and gloom. So many of the sort of property updates that I get are kind of reassuring buyers and sellers that the market is absolutely fine. And that is the statistic that we're seeing all of the big house price indices nationwide, Zoopla's, Rightmove's, net house prices, Halifax's, all the big ones, they're all analysing what's going on, and the market basically is doing okay. Stock levels are at an 11-year high. So what that means is you've got a lot more properties on the market, which means buyers have a lot more choice. And the overwhelming message at the moment is that it's taking a lot longer, therefore, to sell a property. So to do really, really well, you have got to price realistically from the beginning and have really well presented properties. If you present really well and price really well, then you will be absolutely fine. So in the southeast, for example, it's taking us 41 days to find a buyer on average for a property. Places like Scotland and in the north of the country, much, much faster. But down here in the southeast, 41 days. London slightly ahead at 43 days. But house prices generally tipping up, which is showing that confidence. So in the month of March, they were up 0.8%. Which equates to a year to year of 1%. You might think, how does that make sense? 0.8 in March, but that shows how volatile the last year has been, but not hugely volatile. Those very tight little swings, which has basically meant that we're going to end up with a year on year of around 1%. And were it not for the dreadful autumn budget and all the uncertainty that created, it probably would be looking closer to many people's forecasts of sort of 2 to 3%. So mortgage market, quite unstable at the moment, little fluctuations again being seen as the global economy sees what comes next. And obviously you talk about inflation and oil prices and how that will affect consumer confidence, etc., whether Bank of England will reduce base rate. But it seems to be generally steadying, but mortgage rate approvals are at a bit of a low at the moment. So showing that those real cash-rich buyers are the dominant buyers. An interesting statistic, though, that Garrington's came out with was the rise of off-market sales at the moment. So what that means is, as an agent, you haven't traditionally taken that property to the big property portals like Rightmove, On the Market, Zoopla, and instead you have tapped into your buyer book and sold something discreetly and privately. That's something we do with lots of our listings. They tend to be our higher value listings, and they need to have something special about them. You're never going to do that, have a discreet marketing, unless there is something very, very special about a house. There are lots of the same thing on the road. Because generally what happens with buyers in discreet private marketing is they bid to secure that property and stop it going to market, understanding its scarcity and rarity value. And obviously, if you've got a street where lots are the same, they'll just wait for something else to come on and pay probably more than market rate. So that is something at the moment you might think as a kind of regular viewer of Rightmove On the Market. You see everything that's happening. Did you know only 50% of the properties that list on Rightmove actually go on to sell? Staggering, isn't it? You think how many people, for whatever reason, change their mind, get worn out by the process, don't find that dream buyer who's going to pay them the price they feel they should achieve for their house. And yes, it's actually 50% nationally. Here in Tunbridge Wells, 46% of properties listed on Rightmove sell. So that's 54% that don't. So interesting stat. So sometimes as well, what you don't see on the portals are those properties that can sell. So all in all, yeah, market's steady. Just checking my notes that I haven't missed anything, but no, I got all of that in actually. Not bad. Agreed sales above levels of a year ago, and that's the first time that's happened since September. So yes, market's fine. Little swifts around the edges. There was one nice story that caught my eye though on Rightmove, so I thought I'd bring you this one. Do go and have a look at it. It's on their Rightmove blogs, news and stories page about buying your own island. They don't come to market very often, but at the moment there are 5 islands for sale across the world. that you could tap into. Two that caught my attention. I really liked one in the Caribbean, just off the British Virgin Islands, called Grand Scrub. Little Scrub is just next door. That has been developed and turned into a resort spa. And the owners are now selling Grand Spa next door, which they hope will equally be developed and turned into a great hub. On Little Scrub, there are restaurants, all sorts of amenities, so you can tap into using those. And Grand Scrub has power in place and a marina ready to go. It's on for just under a cool £30 million. That's just for the island, remember? You've got to build the thing out after that. Anyway, slightly cheaper and closer to home. How do you fancy living off the west coast of Scotland? This fabulous island, Shuna Island. It's got just over 1,000 acres of gorgeous rolling hillside, coastline, 8 properties, and Shuna Castle itself, which the write-up does is in need of development. That's one way to put it. But it's on the Hebridean estate. You can have 32 guests that could stay on that island. Sorry, 52 guests. No, 52 guests. Can't read my own writing. 5.5 million for that one. So yeah, it's really some lovely eye candy property stuff on that page. So do have a look at that. Closer to home, a beautiful property that I have just launched for sale is Holden Park Road. It's a lovely detached house, really stunningly renovated by the current owners. So you've got a fabulous open plan kitchen diner with a lovely open glazed outlook to its own garden. It's got really strong bedroom space, deceptively spacious, a little sort of wraparound garden and off-road parking. It's on at £950,000. It's proving popular. So if you think that one might be of interest to you, do give us a call. I hope you have a great week and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.